Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for the half of it. So this is a Netflix original movie, and it stars a bunch of first-timers, and it follows the story of this girl who is in high school. Then she writes papers for her fellow classmates. They pay her a certain amount of money, she writes papers for them, and then they get to turn the papers in and they don't have to do their homework. And this works out very well for her. She's a very, very smart student, but one day, a guy approaches her and asks her to write letters to this one girl that he has a crush on. And the thing is, the girl who's writing the papers also happens to have a crush on this girl. So it's this weird thing where the guy is trying to get with the girl, but the girl writing the papers for her is also interested in her, and it's a weird dynamic that happens. So the half of it looked like another teenage movie that was coming onto Netflix. You get these quite frequently, and they rarely ever turn out well. I think that the best one was To All the Boys I've Ever Loved, I think was the name of it. It came back in 2017, and it was light and entertaining and fine. And then the sequel came out, which I haven't seen, but it got critically panned. Nobody really liked it. So I just don't have many expectations when it comes to these Netflix teenage movies, but this one was getting better reviews, so I was kind of interested in it. And unfortunately, it disappointed me. I am kind of puzzled why this one is getting such good reviews. Because yes, it's nice. It's a nice movie, and there's things to like in it. I just overall found it to be kind of a dull experience. I don't really see how somebody could watch this movie and get anything out of it that's more than just your typical teenage romance movie. And that's fine. I mean, of course, there are movies out there like that are really good and that do new things. And even then, you can have a teenage romance movie that just serves as that, and that's fine. But the problem with the half of it is that it's just so forgettable. And it's also really long. I think it's like an hour and 50 minutes, which isn't too bad of a runtime. But this movie feels majorly like it's a big second act. Like in the best types of movies, you have a layout where it's 25% is the first act, where it's like setting everything up. 50% is like the middle, where everything is happening, and then the end is another 25%, the third act, where you have the big climax. And the problem with the half of it is that it sets up in probably 10% of the movie's runtime, and it concludes in about 10%, so it feels like 80% of the movie is the second act, and that's a large chunk of movie. And because of that, it's entertaining for a while, and then it kind of starts dripping off, and you find that your mind starts wandering, and you're not paying as close attention to what's happening in the movie. And the characters are really cliched. They don't feel in-depth at all. They feel like very surface level characters, and because of that, it's hard to relate to any of them. I think it's important when you have teenage movies like this to have easily accessible characters you can relate to and invest yourself in and want to succeed. And it's not like any of these characters are fatally flawed or have something wrong with them. They're just normal teenagers. That's fine. Again, it's a teenage romance movie, but the characters are just so uninteresting. There's nothing about them. I mean, the girl that both the other girl and the guy are fascinated about, and she seems just really boring. Her only hobby is art, and outside of that, she doesn't have a whole lot going on in her life. And even the characters on the other side that you're supposed to be rooting for, you don't care much about them. And overall, I just found it kind of a dull and boring experience. I understand it's better than a lot of the Netflix teenage movies that we get, but still, it's not one that I recommend you go out and see, and I will give the half of it a 5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for the half of it. So, what are your thoughts on this movie, or what is your favorite Netflix teenage drama? Comment in the comment section below, and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.